What's up guys, welcome back to another monster video. So in today's video, I will be letting you guys know the top 20 best monsters in Monster Legends. Why did I not do like top 5, top 10? Why top 20? I'm gonna go ahead and get into it in a second, but today you guys will basically learn quite a lot from this video because you guys can, see what to invest in overall. So I hope you guys are excited. If you are, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. Anyways, let's go and get started. Alright guys, so first of all, welcome back to another ML video, but here's the thing guys, why did I not go with the top 10? And it's kind of funny because I usually do a top 10 list or like a top 5 list of like best monsters, but like why exactly top 20? Because if you go into the Ancestrals here, we have a crazy amount, and like the top 10 list, like at least 90% of it or 100% of it would have been just ancestral monsters. So I feel like it would have kind of been wrong if I just did that. So just a quick heads up, there's going to be a lot of ancestrals in this, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Now this list won't be in order, just letting you guys know. I'm going to give you guys a heads up. It's not in order at all, okay? But what I would do is I would probably personally invest in the top ones that I'm going to mention later on in this video. So continue watching, okay? And then at the end of the video, we're also going to do honorable mentions because those monsters are good. They just couldn't make it into the list because these other monsters are slightly better in my opinion. And also, I mean, I don't want to do like a top 30. Come on. I don't want to put like the whole monstergram in there, you know what I mean? So we're going to do top 20 and we're going to do honorable mentions at the end of the video. So continue watching. Anyways, guys, so the first monster I want to go over is Gardenion. This is one of the best monsters to invest in right now. If you're looking for an attacker slash like really anything, I mean, this monster support, yeah, it's an attacker, but you don't have to necessarily run this monster with strength trains in order for him to be good. Now, this monster had a huge bug a little while ago where basically this artifact trait wasn't you weren't able to basically trade disable it at all, and it was kind of nuts because you couldn't trade disable it, you can't deny it, control or anything like that. And what's annoying with him was this skill right here. It's a massive nature damage that heals itself. Like, it was literally damaging you so much, and then it kept healing as well. And to make it even worse, this monster also has some reverse healing abilities. So yeah, you can see like whenever your monsters tried healing with relics or anything like that, it was deadly. Like, you couldn't heal, you couldn't trade disable it. Also, I like the elements. I mean, light against, JJ. So even JJ couldn't trade disable it back then, but now it can. And then it has a bunch of healing abilities as well. Like, look right here, healing all enemies by 45%. So when you have the reverse healing, it's technically removing life from you. But I would say this monster is still very good. This right here, man, this is some crazy stuff. If I had a monster that's going to get released, right? If Social Point releases a monster, I'd rather that monster having area toxins as a status caster rather than like a random torture, because area toxins, landing that, it takes so much life away from the enemy. It is insane. But anyways, this is one of the monsters I definitely want you guys to invest in. The very next monster is part of the Galactic era. Can you guys guess who it is? Yep, there it is, Robotito. So Robotito is an amazing supporter, I would say. You always want to run it with team speed, of course. And this monster has elemental weaknesses, pyrophobic shield, immune to bleed, immune to control, tough, really good traits. This pyrophobic shield actually comes as a skill, and you can apply it to everybody in your team. What makes this monster even better is the fact that they can actually carry a Curator's Horn, which is actually one of the best talents in the game. And this monster can actually resurrect as well. It has a trap as well. Pretty cool stuff all overall. It has a bunch of NER abilities, healing abilities. Sorry, not healing, my bad. PER, and also there are some weaknesses. But last but not least, we can't forget the damage boost here. This can actually be really good for JJ. The very next monster has a block resurrection trait. This makes this monster really good. Almost any monster nowadays with block resurrection is very usable in the game. You guys know how big this thing is right now. But anyways, immune to torture, status caster, immune to control, pretty good traits overall. What's cool with this monster is the fact that it actually has NER abilities, so you can remove all control status effects, heal everybody, apply a damage protection as well to everybody. So if you're running it with tank, that's even better because you can apply that and the tank barely takes any damage. And then you do have a NER healing NER that actually comes with a 50% heal. So overall, really good monster, definitely worth investing in if you're looking for a supporter. Now the next monster we're going to go over is actually an ancestral monster, and that is Anwrr. I wanted to put this monster, even though like I know I made a video recently of how I kind of dislike this monster now. Not overall, like I'm not gonna say this monster is complete garbage, but after using it for a while, I told you guys, I explained in the video why I kind of dislike this monster. But anyways, let's talk about the pros. So this monster is literally the fastest monster in the game, has insane speed. On top of that, you do have anticipation, cold blood, immune to freeze, but these two really good traits. It has a resurrection ability, so you can resurrect your allies. You can apply death countdown, which actually comes in handy with his ultimate. Like his awakening, once you get his awakening, where any monster or allies or enemies, sorry, resurrects. So even if they resurrect with like a revival lesson, that counts as a +1. And I shown that on my review video if you guys watched it. Anyways, look at that. Look at this right here. So once he's awakened, if you have the death countdown, which most likely you will, because he has multiple death countdown skills. Look at that. There's another one right there, an AoE version. But anyways, you go ahead and apply it to whatever monster and you're gonna basically kill him. So pretty good overall. I do like it. Pretty good ultimate if you can actually get that awakening. But only downside is the monster dies really fast. There's no immune to torture. So running it with like a monster that like as a supporter on the side would help out. That's really about it with that monster. Alright, now getting into the next one we have on the list is Dumbane. This monster is a pretty good tank overall. If you could pair it up with Adventure Jestin, that would be really good, because most of the time that actually makes this monster really good. So whenever it dies, it basically resurrects everybody. And it has ton tough damage protection, so some really good stuff as a tank. And what makes this monster even better, the elements aren't really good, but the relic, like I said, armor with an SN for a tank, that's really good. Like anytime you see that for a tank, if they actually have at least a ton trait, they're going to be usable, you know what I mean, in whatever scenario, it's wars, whatever it is. But also skills do matter a little bit as well. But if they have that already, that's already a huge plus. And this monster does have total life removal from enemies that doesn't require any restriction. So literally it's 30% life removal. So you're removing the life without any restriction, you know what I mean? It's by percentage, so you don't need any actual like strength in you. And this monster being tanked, you're not going to give any restrictions. Now the next guy that we have, guys, is King Atum. This monster has been viable for like a very long time. Okay, look at this. We have this era, and look at this all the way up here. This monster is still being used in top team wars, in top PvP. If you go in the top PvP right now, you should be able to see this monster. Or if you actually are in a top war, like a top team in wars, you should actually see it. It's really good, has damage mirror abilities, has megataunt. This is what makes this monster really good. The fact that the megataunt is a trait, not a status caster. If that was a status caster, this monster would have been long gone. What makes it even better, it has torture abilities and control immunity abilities as well, with healings, doubling its life, damaging a little bit as well, increasing life as well. What makes it even better is the talent, the fact that it can carry a talent, and the double armor as well. The dragon talent usually works best, or you could do like a Nishon spiral. The very next monster is actually a part of the new era, and that is Bane, guys. Bane is amazing. Have you guys seen my review on it? If you haven't, you gotta check it out. So this monster has the ability to have block resurrection in the beginning. You don't even need to rank it up. If you have this rank 0, it could already be usable straight away. But it does get better. You get super tuned area shock, so against extra turner monsters this is good. Like for example Geneza, that would be nice too. Pretty good counter against Geneza actually, because Geneza actually does have a revival lesson, and that completely just blocks it. This monster has AoE cooldown activation abilities, AoE time stop. There's removing evasion, applying CDA, and getting an extra turn. There's a mega time stop to an enemy. Come on, it just is so nice. And here's the thing, it's still not too late. You can actually go ahead and get this monster still from the battle pass. I understand it costs 20 bucks, but it's a good investment, to be honest. But anyways, we're gonna now move on to the next monster. Now the next monster is actually part of the Doomed era. It actually came in like mid Doomed era, and that is Xmas. So Xmas is actually a really good monster because of three things. Actually 4, but 3.5, let's say. So block resurrection, again, this is actually really good. So almost any monster, even in the past, are still viable because of the block resurrection. And another great thing is the SN right here. The fact that it can come back And also, let's not forget about the fact that this monster can carry one of the best talents in the game, and that is part of the Doomed era. A lot of players tend to either give it a demonic pack. So for example, this demonic pack is really good, or they do 7 sins, or whatever else, but those two are the most popular. And last but not least, a cherry on top, this monster can NER, so whenever needed, you can go ahead and remove negative status effect. Now, I feel like a couple of, or actually good amount of players actually overlook this skill right here, Gifted Death. If this monster is used on, like in Team War's defense, and this monster gets a turn in, let's say instead of NERing or whatever, the AI ends up doing this skill right here. Look at this. Instant defeat, because it will randomly apply one of these to one enemy, and that is instant defeat. The fact that you can instantly defeat it, and the enemy, if they have a million life, 3 million life, 4 million, they will die straight away, but also block resurrection. So if they can come back with an SN, guess what? Not happening. Or if they have like an ally to resurrect them, not gonna happen. Now I do understand there's like 3 turn death countdown, life regen, or shock, but then again, this right here, are they really gonna risk that? The next monster, guys, is part of the Doomed era as well, and that is Uriel the Divine. So Uriel the Divine is still getting used up to this day because of dodge area, random torture, and I would say the rest of his traits. But most importantly, again, because it is able to carry one of the best talents in the game, not talking about Hollow Mirror, but basically these things right here, especially the ones I mentioned earlier, like 7 sins, or you know, the demonic pack, for example. And it also has a revival talent, or sorry, a relic. And let's not forget the fact that it can remove negative status effects with this skill, heal, and also there's resurrection abilities. The next monster that we have on the list is Enkido. So Enkido is actually a pretty good monster. I wanted to put it in the top 20 because it deserves in the top 20, honestly. Well, what makes this monster so good? I mean, besides the traits, I do like that area random torture. That area random torture is actually really good. You know, the fact that the enemy could get any kind of torture. But this monster mainly gets used because it has the ability to trade the table. So you can literally trade the table one enemy, give yourself an extra turn, and then after that you can remove evasion, apply like curse, double healing to yourself. But this monster can literally just spam lots of tortures, because remember relics too. With the staff, you can actually spam a torture there with like maybe Merc staff or whatever, and then there's an armor as well. And just skills in general, pretty good supporter, I would say, or like a cursor. So if you need a trade disabler, this is one of the top choices in my opinion. Alright guys, next monster that we have on the list is Graciel. So Graciel is actually a really good monster. This monster actually kind of gets overlooked in my opinion. So here's the thing, I really like the traits. I would say the traits are really good. Having immune to torture, when this monster gets controlled, basically when it gets a turn, this actually kicks in and it helps out a lot. And I know status casters get overlooked most of the time, but in this case, that immune to control really comes in handy. And for those of you guys that use this monster often and this monster gets denied, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyways, it's a pretty good, I would say tank slash supporter, mainly a supporter, because here's the thing, it has evasion abilities. You can actually even run this monster as an attacker. Some players do give this monster strength rune in Team Wars, for example. So when it takes in the first turn, if they have like a specific strategy where they want to get rid of the main threat, they use this skill right here, removes 40% of total life, applying the rep incense, which is 10% light damage, and incoming attacks will always hit, but also a heavy fire damage, guys. So that overall is really good. Have some pretty good AoE abilities. There is even like skill mirror with what does that mean to control. There's damage reduction with evasion. So a lot of pretty cool stuff, and the awakening is really good. So this monster gets awakened pretty fast because when it gets hit 4 times, Megataunt and 25% damage mirror kicks in. Now a lot of players, including myself, I don't really use this at all unless I know for a fact I'm gonna win. I'm like, whatever, let's just do it. So it just removes positive status effects and deals 10% damage, and it kind of sucks. But this right here is really good, and I would say the skills overall is really, really good too. Now the next monster that we have is an Ancestral as well, and that is Xandr. Now Xandr is actually really, really good. I personally need to actually invest in this monster soon and get it like ranked up and maxed out. So this monster is actually worth maxing out. Now dodge area, you know, bulwark, really good overall straight away. Like these two are pretty good combos, and then what makes it even better is the area random positive status effect. So one of your allies allies could literally start off with like a triple damage. So in Team Wars, that could really throw off the enemy. So this monster could take it in the first turn and your attacker right after. That could really throw off a lot of stuff. Also, there is like a bunch of controlling abilities. Come on, like that's really, really good. Also, you do have an NER right here, removes all negative side effects, and applies a double damage. That right there is a pretty good pair up with JJ, aka Jestin Justice. Next monster that we have is Diablas, and this monster I actually really like because it's actually a pretty good counter against Anwrr, which is the fastest monster, because this monster has the area immune to death, basically to everybody. It's really good. Super Demon, come on, that's really, really good too. The immune to blind also comes in handy most of the time. There is a true vision, so this monster doesn't miss at all. So it's gonna land those skills. And then the area random torture. What makes the monster even better is the fact that it has like you know, a bunch of denial abilities. So this monster really goes crazy with its denials. There's one that gives an extra turn, so when you apply that random torture to everybody, you get an extra turn with true vision. And then you can literally hit any skill here and it'll basically mess them up. Like it's really gonna land. Like AoE Fear with Hellfire that's dealing damage. You can apply random tortures twice to enemies. There's this too. So this is one of the monsters I'm actually missing out on. I do need to max it out very soon. And looking at my tickets, I don't have enough. If you're looking for a Denier, I would highly recommend getting Diablas. The next monster that we have on the list is Primerion Unimate. Now this monster is actually really good. If you're looking for a Denier, this is probably the best Denier right now in the game. Arguably, this monster has extra turn ability. So if you take in the first turn, let's say you don't want the extra turn, or if you don't want first turn, let's say, but you do get it the first turn, what you can do is you can actually turn transfer. This monster has this one extra turn right here, so you can literally give it to anybody and, you know, basically turn transfer. That's really about it. It has AoE CDA. There's a CDA again to everybody. There's time stop nanovirus. There is an extra turn, so this one applies baby reversion to the enemy and gives an extra turn. And then you do have a mega time stop as well, and removes control immunity before you apply mega time stop. So pretty good against like Graciel, for example. And that's just an example, by the way. And besides all that, I would say Mater is actually really good too. If you guys are looking for like a Denier, I would say this one's really good. So first of all, traits are really good, especially the Anticipation. Anticipation is amazing. The area random debuff actually helps out in battle, but also helps her awakening. So if you take a look at the awakening, either this monster or any other monster really applies 12 debuffs. You get your awakening, and what do you do with the awakening? You basically remove the debuffs from all enemies and deal damage per effect removed. The more you have, the more damage you will deal. It's not the greatest awakening like ultimate to use, but it gets skill mirror, damage section, and the monster kind of looks scary when it gets it. Now the elements overall is really good, and what makes this monster even better is the fact that it can actually come back. So you don't see that a lot in Deniers. I would say you actually see it in Primerion as well. So Primerion also has it, and that's something that I miss out on that monster. So it makes it even better. But do keep in mind though, another thing is this monster can actually use 2 negative side effects. So one actually has a PER. Where the heck is that? This one right here. This removes positive side effects from one enemy. You're dealing some damage, but also applying total damage reduction and getting extra turn. So if you want to use this against like an attacker, so they don't deal any damage, you can do that. Or if you want to total blind them, you can do that as well. And then nanovirus to everybody with a random debuff, and then removing evasion, applying total blind to everybody. That could literally gain control over the whole battle straight away. The very next monster is another Ancestral, and that is Everest. So Everest is actually amazing. You guys, this is self-explanatory, really. You can use it either as an attacker, denier, or even a supporter with the resurrection abilities. Now, this monster mainly gets used, I would say, as an attacker from what I've seen, but it can be used with full speed as well, or even like life with speed, with strength, whatever you want to do. You could do a lot. It has a self-evasion, and that evasion actually helps him out. But anyways, before we get into that, dodge area, one of the best traits. Come on, really good. Immune to fear can actually come in handy. There's immune to possession as well against Diablas. Now, if you take a look at the skills, this monster actually has a lot of evasion skills. Like you can take a look, this monster gains a lot of evasion. And you might be wondering why. If you take a look at the original boss, which is his awakening, it says attack 3 times while having evasion. So whenever this monster has evasion, you want to attack it. You want to attack using whatever skill here. so that you deal damage, and when you do, you get a +1 for your awakening. And this monster is really easy to awakening. You literally just need you just need to attack 3 times while having evasion. And what you really get out of that is you get this, so immune to negative status effect. So really good. Virtue Spirit, come on, you can't apply any negative status effects to this monster. You get skill mirror, but also it has a resurrection ability to everybody. So you apply, you basically resurrect everybody in your team, apply double damage to everybody, and then possess all enemies. And what just makes this monster even better is the sword, and also the fact that this monster can come back. So a really good Resurrecter in my opinion. So pretty good supporter slash denier slash an attacker. If you're looking for a man with all kind of traits, that is the one. Anyways, the next monster we have on the list is Tideborn. Monster is just amazing. Overall, Tideborn, come on, you can't go wrong with this. What makes this monster so good, since it got released in the beginning of the Ancestral era and it's being used up to this day, is because of the block resurrection here. Resurrection block, guys, again, it is huge in this game right now. Like this whole year, I would say, this thing's been crazy ever since they updated the fact that you know, resurrection block, when resurrection block got buffed, where it actually blocks out like monsters coming in from like revival relics. Man, it's just made so many monsters so good. But anyways, it has CDA abilities. You can even trade disable against, for example, Genocide. That would be coming in handy. You can heal everybody, apply stamina regen. This is actually one of my personal favorites. I actually do use this quite a lot because you don't need any stamina for it. This monster could literally have 0 stamina, be suffering, and you can literally heal your allies. It's really good. You do have like mega control abilities. There's like removing evasion, applying fear. Relics are really good too. His awakening, you can literally get it, I believe, first turn if you run the right relics. So enemies suffer 4 controls at once. You get anticipation, you get true vision. So this is something you don't see very often. And then his awakening is actually really good. So you deal a bunch of damage and you're removing positive status effects, applying a random control, perfect removed, and you're applying 3-turn death countdown. So it's pretty good. Pairing it up with, I guess, the Anwrr monster because of the death countdown. Now, this next monster that we have here is actually Heat Spike. Heat Spike is actually really good. I'm kind of upset that I actually missed out on this monster. I saw it, but then I was like, I'm not going to purchase it. But I should have. Okay, for those of you guys that have this monster already, great. You want to invest in it. It's really good. It's a really good extra turner monster, especially for team wars, I would say. If you're a top team war player, you really care about those battles, you want to invest in this one because it's really good. So it has area toxins, abomination, poisons, whatever. But these two right here, especially this, come on, you guys know how huge this is. I don't have the skills to actually show you guys, but this monster has extra turn abilities. It is in some pretty good books as well, and it has double elements, so you can use it in those elements. But overall, a really good attacker. Now, last but not least, the 20th monster, I would say this is probably going to be your first option if you ever want to invest in a monster. Actually, wait a second, we're on 19. Let's go ahead and go back. So 19th, I would say Kirk Moonwalker is really good, guys. The only downside with this monster is the fact that it dies really fast, pretty similar to Anwrr. If that wasn't the case, if this monster had like immune to torture, that would have been really good. Like what Social Point needs to do is add like the 6 trait. There should be 6 traits right here. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. Anyways, this monster is really just messing that out. But overall, really good with like being able to use multiple different elements. Like you have water, you have metal, you even have, of course, a special, but that just removes negative status effects from you. But anyways, so what makes this monster so special is how heavy he hits. He's like a very heavy hitter. It's a massive water damage applying drowned. You're removing evasion and dealing insane water damage, and it's a 0 stamina. Come on, that's just crazy. This one right here before that is 1 turn cooldown. You do have this other one, applies cold blood, so you're bypassing taunts and mega taunts, and then you're dealing a massive metal damage and applying nanovirus. And that's literally 1 turn cooldown. And then I can't forget about this one. Very heavy metal damage. You do have some AoE skills. The reason why I'm not running those AoE skills is because this current war, you know, I'm just setting it up for that. But anyways, so removing negative status effects, applying immunity control also helps out. There is this specific, this one skill right here. This is really good if you want to run it. I might actually run this, to be honest. I might actually swap out the very heavy metal damage and keep out the remaining skills that I have here. Yeah, definitely keep the cold blood. That's a really good skill. But relics are really good too. You have mask, you have sword, and the elements overall is really good too. And now for the very last monster, guys. And before you click off this video, we're going to talk about him, and then we're going to talk about the honorable mentions. There's going to be other monsters that I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know to invest in, but they just couldn't make it into the top 10 or top 20 best monsters list. Anyways, I would say this monster should be your first to really invest in. If you're looking for an attacker, this is the best attacker in the game. It has, well, arguably, I mean, JJ is really good, so is Kirk, but some debate that Kirk is better than JJ. I mean, if it was a 1v1 between the two, I'd probably say Kirk because of how heavy, like, I mean, metal versus light, come on. But I mean, if JJ gets Awakening, it's game over. So that's a 50-50. But anyways, traits are really good. You know, you have Area Light Weakness. This is actually one of my personal favorites. Besides that, this is what Kirk is missing. If Kirk had that trait right there, oh my goodness, it would have been game over. But anyways, it means a blind. So against Genocide, it's really good. You do have Tough. So most of the time, status effects miss out on you, so it's really good. The Area Light Weakness is really good, and so is the Sunburn, but especially Area Light Weakness. Now this monster actually has, I would say, the best ultimate in the game. It has literally the best Awakening in the game. I would say besides Anwrr, if you could get that, even Awakened. But what is really good is that when this monster gets 5x damage boost, so JJ or any ally boosts this monster's damage by 5 times, you basically get Pierce, True Vision, so you're not going to miss, you have Pierce, and you can gain control over the whole battle. So you have a PR to all enemies, disabling traits, dealing a bunch of damage, and Mega Stunning. So you're literally controlling over the whole battle. If they have trait protection, then I would say that they are safe, but nowadays you don't see any top monsters with that kind of trait. But anyways, this monster has double damage. You do have a 50% damage boost that deals some damage, get an extra turn. So you deal the damage, get an extra turn, you do the double damage, and then you can just deal either the massive to literally just one tap an enemy, or you can do the AoE version. And that most of the time actually one taps all enemies too, so it's really good. With the sword and armor, just, oh my gosh, it's so good. Now let's go ahead and talk about the honorable mentions. What I mean by that is that, again, these monsters are really good. I just couldn't put them in the top 20 because those top 20 were basically taken for with all those other monsters. But you should invest in these guys as well, and that is Kirk. This monster is a really good attacker if you're looking for an attacker, especially in the Dragon's Book for Team Wars. If you're a Team War player, this monster's good. The only downside is the fact that this monster was behind a paywall. So that was the only way to really obtain it. The next monster I want to talk about is Cannon 11. Cannon 11 is really good. It's a really good trait disabler and also supporter. So you can literally run Kara's Horn talent, like I mentioned earlier. So that just clears out everything. And this monster could really just NER, heal, damage boost. It's packed with everything as a supporter. So it's really, really good. And the Pyrophobic Shield actually helps out as well when this monster gets a turn in. So again, given Kara's Horn, and this monster is really good. I would say give it your highest runes, like with team speeds. So top Team War, use this monster with like level 14s, team speeds, Kara's Horn, and it's nice. It's really good. Another monster I want to talk about is Dumbane, guys. Unfortunately, Dumbane couldn't make it in the top 20, but this monster is really good. Very similar to K9, except K9 could trade disable. This monster can't. But this monster has any kind of damage boost you're looking for. Now, we can't forget about my boy Schoolbug. Schoolbug's good too, I would say. If you're looking for a supporter, damage booster that could remove negative status effects, this monster's good. The only thing that really sucks is the traits. But other than that, the skills are really good. Now, one of my personal favorites, I really like this monster because it's in the Underworld book, and there's not a lot of great like supporters in the Underworld book, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, there's like, for example, what is that one wing monster? Diablas is in that. So Demonic Pact kind of gets countered, but you can run this monster still with Demonic Pact if you want, or 7 Sins. And this monster has Resurrection Block. Again, Resurrection Block is really good, but what makes this monster even better is the fact that it has Area Torture Immunity. So everybody in your team gets an Area Torture Immunity, and on top of that, this monster has NER abilities, so you can really remove negative status effects. You can even remove positive status effect, remove like full stamina from the enemy, and a bunch of other cool things. But again, the Block Resurrection plus the fact that this monster can carry those Doom talents, including 7 Sins and especially the Demonic Pact, is really good. Now, I do want to put this monster out there as well. As an attacker, he's actually not that bad. Now, most of the time for the light or dark category, you're either going to be using Everest or JJ. I understand that, but let's say you don't want to use those monsters. This monster comes in handy. Has Anticipation, immune to blind, immune to torture, but it's a really good attacker. It deals pretty good amount of damage, so if you're looking for an attacker, this monster is not a bad option. Now, and I understand it was part of the bounty hunt in the past, but if you can get it in the future, go for it. Another monster would probably be Firestar if you're looking for a decent like taunt monster, like a tank for the Dragon's Book. Again, Dragon's Book, there's a lot of monsters that's lacking, even in the exclusive I would say, but especially dragons. So this monster would be pretty good. Like it has taunt, immune to torture, life regen, and some decent skills as well. But I do like the traits as well. Anyways guys, that's gonna wrap it up with today's Monster Gens. Top 20 best monsters in Monster Gens. If you guys wanna edit the list and let me know your opinion in anything you want to change, let me know in the comments down below, or like what you guys agree with or disagree with, let me know in the comments down below. I really don't mind. You can go ahead and give your opinion, but my personal opinion, I say you should invest in these top 20 monsters and the honorable mentions that I mentioned, and if you want to rank them up, go for it. But anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.